What happens when a senior opposition leader from Taiwan travels to mainland China for the first time in a decade, just weeks before a planned summit between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump, while military pressure around the island continues to rise? This video examines how this visit, framed as a peace initiative by Cheng Li-won, intersects with stalled defense spending, intensifying geopolitical rivalry, and a long-standing sovereignty dispute that remains unresolved. If this situation escalates, the consequences could extend beyond symbolic diplomacy into direct strategic confrontation. Increased military activity around Taiwan, combined with unresolved political tensions, could raise the risk of miscalculation. If the situation stabilizes, this visit could serve as a channel for dialogue, reducing immediate pressure and potentially reshaping the tone of upcoming US-China discussions. If the initiative fails, the visit may be viewed as politically isolated, with limited impact on broader cross-strait dynamics. The current situation is rooted in the unresolved status of Taiwan since 1949, when the Chinese Civil War ended with the Communist Party establishing control over mainland China and the Kuomintang government retreating to Taiwan. Since then, Taiwan has operated as a self-governing entity, while Beijing has consistently maintained that the island is part of its territory. This fundamental disagreement has shaped decades of political, military, and diplomatic interaction across the Taiwan Strait. Over time, the balance of power has evolved. China's economic and military capabilities have expanded significantly, allowing it to exert increasing pressure on Taiwan. This includes near-daily deployments of military aircraft and naval vessels around the island, as well as periodic live-fire exercises in nearby waters. These activities are intended to signal capability and resolve without crossing into open conflict, creating a persistent state of tension. Key actors in this situation include the Chinese government under President Xi Jinping, Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party led by Lai Ching-te, and the opposition Kuomintang Party, represented by Cheng Li-won. The United States remains a central external player, providing arms to Taiwan and maintaining informal support, while adhering to a policy that avoids formal diplomatic recognition. Each of these actors operates with distinct objectives, shaping a complex network of alliances and tensions. Recent developments highlight these dynamics. Cheng Li-won arrived in China for a 6-day visit, beginning in Shanghai and expected to conclude in Beijing. This marks the first visit by a Taiwanese opposition leader in 10 years. The trip takes place amid internal political divisions within Taiwan, where the opposition-controlled parliament has stalled a proposed $40 billion defense budget. This budget was intended to fund arms purchases from the United States and support domestic defense capabilities. At the same time, China has continued to oppose U.S. arms sales to Taiwan. A recent deal, valued at over $11 billion, includes missiles, howitzers, and drones, reinforcing Taiwan's defensive capacity. Beijing has consistently viewed such transactions as interference in its internal affairs. In parallel, diplomatic messaging has emphasized that the Taiwan issue remains the most sensitive component of China-U.S. relations. The timing of Cheng's visit adds another layer of complexity. It occurs shortly before a scheduled meeting between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump, where Taiwan is expected to be a key topic. Analysts suggest that engagement between the Kuomintang and the Chinese Communist Party could shift focus away from security tensions and toward economic or political cooperation areas. However, the opposition party does not have the authority to make binding decisions on behalf of Taiwan's government. Public response within Taiwan reflects these divisions. Supporters of the visit view it as an attempt to reduce tensions and maintain communication channels. Critics argue that it risks legitimizing Beijing's position without securing concrete concessions. These contrasting perspectives illustrate the broader debate within Taiwan over how to manage relations with China while maintaining autonomy. One possible scenario involves the visit contributing to a limited reduction in tensions. In this case, dialogue between opposition representatives and Chinese officials could lead to renewed communication channels, potentially easing pressure ahead of the Xi-Trump summit. This would not resolve underlying disputes, but could create a more stable short-term environment. A second scenario involves the visit having minimal impact on strategic dynamics. Military activity around Taiwan could continue at current levels, and political divisions within the island could persist. In this case, the visit would function primarily as a symbolic gesture, with limited influence on policy or security outcomes. A third scenario involves increased tension if the visit is perceived as undermining Taiwan's official position. This could lead to stronger responses from the ruling government or heightened skepticism among international partners. In this context, the visit could deepen internal divisions rather than promoting external stability. The geopolitical implications of these scenarios extend beyond Taiwan. For China, maintaining pressure while avoiding escalation is a central objective. For the United States, supporting Taiwan while managing broader relations with China requires balancing deterrence and diplomacy. For regional actors, stability in the Taiwan Strait is critical to economic and security interests. At a systemic level, the situation illustrates how internal political dynamics within a territory can intersect with major power competition. Decisions made by opposition figures, government leaders, and external actors all contribute to shaping outcomes. This creates a layered environment where symbolic actions can have strategic implications. The broader context also includes economic considerations. Taiwan plays a key role in global supply chains, particularly in semiconductor manufacturing. Any disruption in the region could have significant effects on global markets. This adds an additional dimension to the strategic importance of maintaining stability. As events continue to develop, several factors will influence the trajectory. These include the outcome of Cheng Li-won's visit, the status of Taiwan's defense budget, the level of military activity around the island, and the tone of the upcoming Xi-Trump summit. Each of these elements interacts with the others, creating a dynamic and uncertain environment. The central question remains unresolved. Can dialogue initiatives by opposition figures contribute to stability in a context defined by structural tensions and competing strategic interests? The answer will depend on whether these efforts align with broader political and security developments or remain isolated within domestic political frameworks. What emerges is a situation where diplomacy, domestic politics, and military signaling are closely intertwined. The balance between engagement and deterrence continues to shape outcomes, with no clear resolution in sight. For observers, the key will be to monitor not only high-level meetings and official statements, but also the underlying patterns of behavior that indicate whether tensions are easing or intensifying.